I will give the floor to Magali De Pauw and Ilse Delbert. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. PreconNet, where are we now? The model and its content. This is very important presentation for our project because this is the core of our preconception project, and it's a PreconNet model. But Magali will explain it better than me. So the screen is yours.
Hello. So I want to talk to you about the birds and the bees. And I want to start with a little story. It has to be more or less 25 years ago that I sat at the kitchen table drinking a glass of juice when my mother started a conversation while she was preparing dinner. So she wasn't looking at me. And she asked me and said, "Dear, I want to talk about the birds and the bees with you. Do you know the story about the birds and the bees?" And I looked surprised. I said, "No, Mom, what do you mean? You want to talk about biology or something?" And my mother said, no, I want to talk and I meant the story about the birds and the bees. I said, okay. So I don't know if someone recognized this kind of conversation of the story. I think in a lot of families to start the talk, let's say, is a rather awkward moment. And it's not only for parents awkward, but even for public healthcare workers, teachers, talking about the birds and the bees feels uncomfortable. However, we have to talk about those birds and bees and inseparable preconception health and care, starting from a young age. If I remember what Dr. Grace Bolla said. And those birds and bees should accompany us during our lifetime. So one can ask why? Because we know that in the short term, preconception health and care can reduce pregnancies that are too early, pregnancies that are too close, and unplanned pregnancies. But more important, in the long term, preconception health and care can contribute to improve the health of babies and children as they grow into adolescence and adulthood, and so on for further generations. So in general, preconception care contributes to improve health outcomes now and in the future, and in all segments of the population. So that's why we have to talk about those birds and bees. During the last 10 years, there's a growing body of evidence concerning preconception. Because of the importance of the subject, this is a splendid evolution. One quick search in a scientific research database with the term preconception, this results in more or less of 58,000 publications. This is good, but also it's a huge amount of knowledge, and it's knowledge that is not always easily accessible, not comprehensible, and sometimes it can be demotivating for non-researchers. And that's a pity. That's really a pity, because what is the main motivation? Has asked to start your video. I had something on my screen, Bastian, sorry. So what I was saying that it's a pity that the research that you find on the databases doesn't reach the end user, because that's the main motivation for researchers in preconception and research in general. They want to end up with the end users. And yes, preconception researchers want to improve the daily life of Paul and Nora, who have a pregnancy wish, but also for Fatima, who is 14 years old and struggles with an eating disorder, which can have devastating consequences for her fertility. So preconception researchers have the objective and are driven to take care for Fatima, Paul, Nora, and further generations, future generations. So we should make efforts and strive that preconception research results should reach everyone and every end user who can benefit from it. You see, many of us experience a gap between scientific literature and those who should benefit from it, who should benefit from the evidence. But the question is how to bridge this gap. Let's translate scientific research in manageable systems, and let's try to reach our Paul, Nora, Fatima, and others. Attempts are already made, they were made and are made to translate the evidence on preconception themes. There are models, but they are often too complicated and not very practical for education. So designing a practical and evidence-based tool is a challenge. And we, as the project team, PreconNet project team, we accepted this challenge. So my name is Magali De Pauw. I'm a midwife and I'm a lecturer at the Vives University of Applied Sciences in Belgium. But most important, today I'm a team member of the PreconNet project. As Uni already introduced, this Erasmus project is a collaboration between 5 universities and 4 European countries, Finland, Slovenia, Austria, and Belgium. As a project team, we are driven by the knowledge that by supporting and guiding men and women to make well-informed and well-considered decisions about their fertility and their health, preconception care could contribute to the social and economic development of families and even communities. So by creating awareness of the importance of one's health and behavior on maternal and child health outcomes. Our team aims to provide preconception and preconception related evidence to health professionals and also the health professional educators by translating the evidence and making it readily available for them. As a team, we wanted to create an appealing and easy to communicate model, a model which would be the basis of the platform that shows the philosophy of the project. And after a long discussion, we ended up with a honeycomb. A honeycomb, we had the idea that a honeycomb is easy to recognize. And also a honeycomb can grow. Our team can let grow our PreconNet honeycomb when new evidence is available. So 2 years ago, the PreconNet preconception health and care honeycomb model for education was born. A preconception health and care model in a comprehensible language for educational purposes. That was our mission. And with the model, our project team frames the content and defines the elements of preconception health and care. The elements describe the latest approaches in preconception health and care. And we do not only include biological and health promotion approaches, but we also have attention for psychology, social, ethical, and cultural perspective. So in this way, we create a model that will reach, we hope so, and it benefits for everyone, even Fatima, Paul, and Nora. Based on recognized needs in the participating countries and also on latest evidence, we defined 8 building blocks. So 8 themes, which are the main topics where the project team is working on. The honeycomb model and its 8 building blocks serve as a guide for the concrete elaboration of the content, also for the didactic approach, and also for learning outcomes regarding preconception, health and care. Under every block, there are sub-themes. For example, you have the lifestyle choices. Yeah, we work on the nutrition, weight, alcohol, smoking, sleeping, physical activity, drugs use, dental and oral care, and medication use. As my colleagues will show you this afternoon, you may already find tools and educating movies under the topics on our websites. Here you can see an example for the sub-theme weights. The model and its building blocks and learning material are developed in such a way that they will be easy to translate into the curricula of the healthcare courses of the participating and also for other countries. So what I presented here now briefly is the current state of our PreconNet preconception health and care honeycomb model. We are already working on the model and on the project for 2 years, but we think that we only can grow and make the project successful if we have feedback from you. So please, during the pause or now when you are listening, please have a look on our webpage, read about the philosophy of our model, have a look on the themes. But I would also kindly ask you to fill out a little questionnaire. You can find the questionnaire and the link if you scan the QR code, who is in the slide here. I hope you can see it. I made some questions to collect your feedback, because we are designing the model. We use pictograms, we use terms. And for us as a project team, they are clear because we have discussed them. But it's also important that you as users of the website and the model who weren't in the discussion understand them. That's our main aim. So I really would kindly ask you to take some time. There are not 20 or 25 questions, and give some feedback so we can work further on it. So I hope that the presentation was clear, because it's a bit strange that I'm talking just to a screen. I don't see anything more.
It was clear. There are also some questions, so don't worry.
Wait, I'm not ready yet, Bastian. I want to thank you for your attention, but I also want to thank my colleague at Vives, Dr. Ilse Delbare. I think it's important that we mention her. She is specialized and is a researcher in pregnancy wish and preconception care. And so if I have a question on the project, it's easy because Ilse is working at my university. And so also thank you to Ilse. She's also working on this project. Okay, shoot the questions.
Okay. Thank you, Magali. We have actually one question from the other side of the planet.
Yes.
And it's August Iguin Manzon. I will try to unmute his microphone. Okay, August, are you with us? Do you hear us, August?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay, we also can hear you well. Please, also Magali. Magali, do you hear him?
Yes, I hear him.
Okay, August, please, question.
My question is, I am a nurse. I'm a registered nurse here in the Philippines, and I conducted a research on adolescent sexuality, okay? But then again, here in the Philippines, it seems that adolescent reproductive health is not a major concern, because based on our statistics, there is a rise in the cases of teenage pregnancy and the HIV/AIDS among the youth. So my question is, how can we strengthen our ARH program here in the country, here in the Philippines? Can you suggest something to strengthen the program? We have a program, but I think the program is not that strong to address these problems.
Okay, thank you for the question. How to start now with the project, you see that the first focus is on European countries, because we are working with 5 European universities in 4 European countries. So that was the first focus. But the colleagues of Finland and Slovenia started also a project on preconception in Team Finland. Please correct me if I'm wrong, or Team Slovenia, in Vietnam. No? And I think that's important that you change the focus a bit from high income countries to low and middle income countries, because every part of the world has its own problems and challenges. So I think the base of this European project can also be used for countries like the Philippines, but you have to take in mind that the results of the research here in Europe will not be applicable for in the Philippines, or if you compare it with Africa, you also need more other insights. So as the base you can use, and I think it will work because it's attractive, it's appealing, it's easy to use, but the content that you that you put in the model and in a web page and in a program, that you have to adjust to a specific country. Yeah, okay. And that is important. And yeah, the base of the research will be the same as I said, but you have to really translate it in a country, in a community even. Like in, for example, here in Belgium and in the Netherlands, there's a big study in Rotterdam that there are a lot of research, there are a lot of projects, but we do not reach all of the people. So they are now doing a study in Rotterdam to reach the people and the families and the women and the men in some communities that are very difficult to reach because they have their own specific problems. There are a lot of foreign people, a lot of people with a difficult social background. So they're here in the Netherlands and Belgium. My colleague Ilse also researched it. It's very difficult to reach some communities. So if it's here already difficult with our European results, it will be very important that we translate a model into your, like I said, the Philippines with your specific challenges. So the base, for an answer, the base can be used, but the content has to be specialized in a community, in a country. So I hope you understand what I...
Yeah, thank you so much for your insight. I appreciate your suggestions and your comments, ma'am. And thank you to all the organizers. Congratulations to all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, August.